Well, for his analysis on this historic defence pact between Australia, the UK and the United States, I'm going to bring in former Labor Senator Stephen Conroy. Stephen, thanks so much for joining me. Let's take our partisan hats off here, and I'd like your expert opinion. Was the French subs deal as bad as I and Rex Patrick have suggested it is?
Well, look, I think you gave a very good history. I think you left a couple of important parts out. But there is no question that the subs deal was a dud. And it was a dud for a very simple reason. Because, as you said, Malcolm Turnbull and Christopher Pyne wanted to announce that they had a deal to build a submarine in South Australia. And I think you've been a little shy in accepting that as a South Australian senator, you perhaps didn't oppose it publicly as much as you might argue today. But this was a shocker of a deal. Labor argued, and I'm sure you remember, I was actually the Shadow Minister for Defence during this period. Labor argued you cannot down select to just one. You lose all competitive tension. The French have you over a barrel. And the truth was, on the day the deal was announced, the French president welcomed it and announced 4,000 new jobs in Cherbourg. They never had any intention of building the submarines in Adelaide. And they sort of let the cat out of the bag. It was
the deal of the century, wasn't it, for the French?
It was. And I've got an exclusive for you, Corey, because I got to go to Cherbourg and I got to bring back one of the very few copies of the miniature short fin Barracuda. This was going to be Australian submarine. So there it is, Corey. That's what all the arguments have been about. And you can see that it's an impressive looking beast in miniature form. The problem was it was never going to be built here. And I've got to say, I love Scotty from marketing. He is a legend because you and I have lived now through
I told you to put your hat.
It's important.
Right?
It's important to revisit the announcements that Christopher Pyne, Malcolm Turnbull, and Scotty have made. So, in the lead up to the 2016 election, no, you got to give your history lesson. You were just a bit cheeky in leaving out. I haven't forgiven you for calling me shy, right? Now, that's an insult that I'll never accept. Right, let's accept that it was a terrible decision, right? But move on. Now, you're someone who believes that the alliance with the Americans is truly important, and bringing the UK into this, of course, is vital. Is this a good move for Australia to bring in nuclear submarines and do this deal? Well, look, given that it's going to be 2040 at a minimum, and I mean genuinely a minimum, this is going to be a few years later than that. And if you live in Adelaide and you think the Prime Minister has just promised jobs for Adelaide, forget it. There are no jobs on his own admission before 2030. That's 9 years away. All those jobs that are there now. I mean, there are 40 Australians who've just lost their jobs in Cherbourg, who work in Cherbourg today. So the overarching deal to have a deeper engagement, given the changing climate, strategic climate in our region, is absolutely vital. The Chinese are engaged in aggressive military activity across Taiwan, across Alaska.
And Stephen, I want to get into this. Because a Beijing spokesman has hit out, and this is what they've said. I want to take this grab.
Think about this question, whether it wants to see China as a partner or a threat.
Now, Stephen, you and I have been on a unity ticket as well about the encroachment of China. They've responded badly to this, which probably says it's the right move, isn't it? What else should we be looking at here?
No. Look, this is absolutely what we need. We need to build the alliances. We need to reach out to Japan and South Korea. We've got the Quad that's going. We need to reassure Indonesia that this is not in any way a threat to them, because the Chinese, let me just give you a very quick list. The Chinese currently, right now, are playing chicken off Alaska with the American naval forces. They are playing chicken in the East China Sea with Japan. They forced Vietnam, who deployed a oil rig a few years ago, into their own waters to take it back and threaten them in an extraordinary way. They have 200 grey-hulled vessels who they pretend are Coast Guard, but are really military vessels, literally sitting off the Philippines, stopping them fishing their own waters. They are flying flights regularly over Taiwan. They are trying to send the message, particularly now to the Taiwanese, there's no point in resisting, you have no friends. It's a fait accompli that we're going to take you. And so in the face of all that aggression, and that's the military, then you get the coercion economically on Australia and a range of other nations right across Europe and across our region. So the world needs to sit up and stop pretending and thinking we're seeing the benign rise of China. Those days are dead.
Yeah.
You've got to believe what China says and believe what it does.
I agree with you. I got to wrap, mate, but you make the point about these subs taking a long time. We should start building them next year. I don't care where they're built, so we can have them in a decade's time instead of 2 decades' time. Stephen Conroy, thanks so much for your insights tonight. I really appreciate it.